everyone. Welcome to the February Connecticut Passive House Roundtable. I am very happy to welcome two people from the Passive House Network and a surprise guest from EMU. And I would like to introduce Brian Bloom and Becca Castellano to introduce yourselves and your company and take it away.
Great. I can just quickly introduce myself, Brian, and then I'll hand it off to you. My name is Becca Castellano. I am the education manager at the Passive House Network. I've been with the Passive House Network for about 2.5 years now, and my background is in education. I was kind of looking to do a career switch from teaching in public schools and kind of found my route into the nonprofit world, which I'm very excited to be in. I've learned a lot about Passive House throughout the way. I've always had a kind of love of architecture, so it's very cool to be integrating that into my career now as well. And yeah, I mean, Brian will kind of give a little spiel on our trainings, but I will be like a point person going forward. If anybody has any questions after this, you feel free to email me. You can email me at training@passivehousenetwork.org.
Thanks, Becca. My name is Brian Bloom, and I am the Director of Business Development for the Passive House Network. And I have worked with Becca and the Passive House Network for about 7 months now. Pretty new. This whole idea of a business development program for us is relatively new. I come from a very different background. I was a sports action and commercial photographer for over 20 years up in Lake Tahoe, and then as a commercial photographer in New York City for a long time. And as the photography market shrunk, I started thinking of new things that I was passionate about. And like Becca, I've always been interested in architecture. I did a lot of architectural photography during my career. And I stumbled onto Passive House. My wife showed me a thing from a flyer from Yestermorrow. You guys know the Yestermorrow people up in Vermont. And I'm like, what's this? This is weird. And I dug into it and kind of got obsessed with it, and was still taking pictures and still in photography. And I got my certification, signed up, took the class. It's 4 years ago now, and it was very different then. Becca and the folks at the Passive House Network have worked on it and honed it, and it is much smoother. I think way better, let's just call it less intense than it was when I took it. It was still great. I loved it. It was, I learned so much. It was 5 days though, literally live online, just putting it in there. And took the test, I passed, and continued in my search. And then I just became even more passionate about it. How do I make this a career, and how do I do it? And I met Ken Levinson, our executive director, and I just met him for a networking time to see if he knew anybody. I was kind of thinking about development, in another way in through Passive House development, and I just wanted to meet with him to see if he knew anybody. And he said he'd definitely keep his ears open, but he also had this little job that he goes, and I'm like, that's not really for me. I'm not that interested in it. Like, that's not what I want to do. And I went home and I thought about it, and here I am. And so what I do for the most part is try to get more people to be certified passive house designers. And we offer 4 cohorts a year, and they are winter, spring, summer, and fall. The next cohort is the spring cohort, which begins April 9th. And Connecticut has some very powerful incentives. I was thinking about this today. If you join the Passive House Network for $199, you get 10% off of the price of our CPHD training. You do that first, take the class, you apply for the Connecticut incentive, which gives you 75% off. Your net out of pocket will be $345 for a $2,300 savings, not to mention all the other benefits that come with the membership of the Passive House Network. So that really is a powerful incentive, and it makes sense if you and people push back that they either don't have the money or the time, and like $345 is pretty nominal these days. It's like a dinner out for two in New York City, and the time, Becca and the team at the Passive House Network have taken care of that, because it's these modules. If you were to sign up today, you can get going right away on the online modules and effectively cut what we recommend is 2 to 4 hours per week. You could almost half that, because you're getting like a month and a half jump on the training. So you can go in, watch the modules, take the quizzes, get all that done, and then by the time the cohort starts on April 9th, you'll be well into it. And then there's 9 live online sessions that you should attend, and they range from Q&As to experts coming in and answering questions, and basically review what you've learned so far. And they're phenomenal. The people that we have, the teachers are top tier Passive House gurus from the beginning. And then you take the test. And so we say it's 11 weeks total, 35 hours. You get 35 AIA CEUs for it. What else can I say? It was fun, interesting, challenging, just a wealth of building science information, the latest in building science. And also, I'm not an architect, but what I hear from a lot of architects is it's empowering in that it gives the architect a voice again, especially like larger firms, people that are working on buildings that are where they'll have an envelope consultant, and the architect won't even really, if they don't have an understanding of passive house, they'll just, the envelope consultant will say, here's what we're going to do, and he'll go find, But with this, with the CPHD training, and I tell people, like, you're not going to walk out with the CPHD training, okay, I'm ready to build a building with this thing, and here's my certificate. It's like, it's more of a understanding of what's happening, and a discussion starter, and a common vocabulary between a consultant. And then you do one, and then you do another one, and pretty soon you can do it. You can be the building consultant. But it's just a great tool, and it empowers architects again to have a little more say and a little more understanding of what the right hand is doing. And yeah, what else? I think it's a pretty good synopsis of our certified Passive House Designer training. I can talk more about the other things we have coming up in a second. Wimby, I'll let Parker chime in, because I tend to rant.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. It's the CPHD course is so good, and our company Emu does the CPHT course, which I'll go into the differences between those. But just to introduce myself a little bit, and how I got into Passive House. I first learned about it in school at Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. And I was picking study abroad options, because I had the opportunity to do a study abroad, and one of them was called Passive House Building and Design Standards, and it was in Germany and Austria and the Czech Republic. And so did it was a study abroad in college where I went and kind of learned about everything, and then I was out of the building science world for a solid 10 years after that. But yeah, I was in solar and the ski industry, and then I found this opportunity at Emu, and since I had a little bit of a baseline knowledge of Passive House, it was a good fit. And so my role at Emu is as an enrollment advisor, um, which essentially I'm like Brian is doing, trying to find people that want to take our course. And the difference between the CPHD and the CPHT comes down to the personnel who's going to be in the course is going to be a little bit different. But then the material itself, the CPHD focuses a lot on the passive house planning package and energy modeling, and the CPHT tradesperson, which is what Emu does, is really catered towards builders that are, constructing buildings at the end of the day. And because it's catered towards builders, we get a fair amount, and it's designed by architects. Our founders were architects. We have a lot of architectural resources and information in the curriculum as well. So we tend to get both builders and architects taking the course, and it's funny when you get these two people in a room together. It's like the tension, it's like palpable. And but anyway, as we know in the building world, architects are always blaming the builders, and the builders are always blaming the architects. And to have these people kind of reading from the same book, quite literally, really helps the implementation of projects. And so in the tradesperson course, we have a large hands-on component. We spend 2 days where people are putting together a module that we've built that gives you a little bit of taste of commercial building and a little bit of taste of residential. And we have the real products that are the Passive House certified products that people get their hands on and play with and use and kind of run through the motions, so that when it's time to, go put a big project together, and you're brand new to it, you've had a little bit of hands-on experience. So that's what our course is and how it differs from the CPHD, and they're rather complementary to each other.
Thanks. Well, I think that um, the CPHT is so important to do
Mhm.
hands-on, the
Yeah.
training. And I know that EMU has some boot camps coming up um, out east where we are. Can you mention those?
Yeah, so the way that we do our boot camps, since they are in person, is we travel. We're like a traveling circus. And so we'll go around the country and hold week-long boot camps in different places. And for the Connecticut folks, we have one coming up in Brooklyn, which is going to be on April 13th through the 17th. And then we've got another one that's going to be in Boston. And Boston is, let me grab dates for it real quick. I always got to look these up. Boston is going to be on May 11th. So it can be a rather large commitment just because you were taking you away from work for a week. But we have two options. So for both the Boston and the Brooklyn boot camp, you can choose to be in person for all 5 days, or you can choose to do a portion of the curriculum online, and then we're only pulling you out of the office for 2 days to do the hands-on modules. But yeah, those are our upcoming options is Brooklyn on April 13th and Boston on May 11th. And the cool thing about Connecticut is that you guys have an amazing funding opportunity that the 75% off of the course, and that goes for both the CPHD and the CPHT. So whichever one fits you and your circumstance, you can get it highly subsidized, which is such a great thing.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. We're lucky. So we have that currently set up to go through June, but there's talk
Yeah.
of extending it, but which is exciting.
We
But
need those extensions.
knock on wood, everybody knock on wood.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
Um,
guys so much for letting me
yeah,
speak.
sure. Brian and Becca, I have a question about your CPHD/C. Because I know that FIAS calls their version a consultant, believe. So is the PHI sort of system calling it more of a designer at this point? Or do you still call it a CPHD/C, or have you kind of lost the C?
This is for Becca, I think.
We do end up we end up calling it the D/C a lot, and that's because upon passing the exam, you can receive either designation from PHI. So you can either become a certified passive house designer or a certified passive house consultant. And the only difference is when you are registering for the exam, you provide proof if you are a registered architect or engineer. You would upload like some kind of certificate or your diploma. And then upon passing the exam, you would get that designer designation. If you weren't, you just wouldn't upload anything, and then you would get that consultant designation.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's something I
Uh,
explain to people every day.
oh, yeah.
Me too.
Parker, I meant to ask, so at the end of your sessions, are the architects and builders getting along?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're always getting along. We have a happy hour at the end of our sessions where we can sit down over some snacks and some drinks and tell all of our building science stories or job site stories or whatever it might be. And that's a not only are they getting along, but now these people have kind of like spent 3 or 4 days together. And as we know, like team building is so huge for companies. So sometimes we'll get companies that like use our course as their like kind of like team building thing, and which is a really cool aspect of it. So
That's good, thanks.
yeah.
Um, Becca and Brian, could you talk a little bit about the kind of regional aspect of your cohorts? I know the one that applies to us is the Atlantic cohort. So
Yeah,
what makes it regional?
Yeah, so seasonally, Brian mentioned that we have winter, spring, summer, fall cohorts. Within those time periods, we are running kind of two simultaneously. So we have the Atlantic cohort and the Pacific cohort. As you mentioned, if you're someone that lives in Connecticut, you would be in the Atlantic cohort. And kind of the main differences are, or kind of the main perks are, everyone that's going to be in your cohort is going to be someone that is most likely on the East Coast. We see that a lot of people connect within the cohort, kind of as Parker has mentioned. It's like also a networking opportunity to meet people in your area that are also interested in Passive House, maybe already working on Passive House projects. But then also during our Q&A sessions, Brian mentioned we have two of those throughout the cohort. We'll bring a speaker in. Sarah's actually doing one for us soon, but we'll bring a speaker in who's someone that's already very involved in the Passive House community, integrated it into their career. And you have the opportunity to come. The Atlantic cohort will get someone from the East Coast. For the Pacific cohort, we'll get someone from the West Coast. And again, networking opportunity to ask someone, where did you start? How did you get here? What's your Passive House journey? So that's the way they're separated. There are some, like the webinars that Brian mentioned, those are together, both the Atlantic and the Pacific cohorts, so that they have opportunities to meet each other as well. And then also just some kind of time zone differences. So we make them the times as accessible as possible, depending on where you live in the country.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see we have some other folks here, Jill and Paul, if you have any questions or share your own learning experience. Jill, I know you went through it a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
I was looking over at my certificate on the wall.
I did
I
that.
was I was
just
in the
did that
spring.
before also. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I was in the spring cohort of 24. Um, I'm a registered architect, and I just felt it was time to get some more knowledge in this field. I also did it. I'm coming from this is my second career, so I'm a little bit older. And I felt like I just needed to know I could do it, take the course and pass. I felt really excited. It was hard, but I learned a lot. I have a lot of materials I can draw on. I feel like the regional thing was good because seemed to be a lot of people from New York City in my cohort. And then the people that you were talking with and the questions they brought up um, were more pertinent to our region and, like weather related or climate related. So I could see that being a plus rather than saying, oh, well, I don't have to deal with Rocky Mountain snow or, stuff from West Coast. Um, what else? I don't know. I think it was just a great experience. And I like, Brian, that you said, like, I haven't really used it much besides being involved with Build Green CT, but in my job, except for it builds on my knowledge of what I project into my current jobs. Um, and that you just keep building on that. You bring those things into every job you touch. So hopefully, they'll keep continuing and get a passive house project, but all those principles are really key for all projects. And I feel strongly about that. So that's me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
interesting that I was thinking about this the other day, that the first step is education. Like if you don't know to tell a developer, hey, what do you think about this? Or even if, an educated workforce, an educated, a lot of times you guys as architects know that the developers drive the conversation, but architects certainly have a say, and they certainly have some recommendations they can make. And if more people are educated, the conversation will be richer, and more developers will be confronted with, you want to do this? It's going to cost a little bit more, but you're going to see the payoffs long run. You're going to see a building that's cleaner, quieter, more comfortable, more resilient, maybe more flame resistant. And but it starts without education. It becomes a status quo situation where we're just going to keep on building like we used to, and the code will incrementally inch up, but not enough to make a difference. And I think it's so important, and that's kind of what drives me to go out and explain to these architects. I mean, I am amazed at the size of the architecture firms and the sophistication of some of these architecture firms that have never heard of it in this day, in places like California, in places like San Francisco. Like I'm like, really? They're just building like they have, and they're fine. And they're making big, impressive, visually buildings and structures. And it's like, I'm like, okay, you can still make that. And even if you don't go for certification, you can implement some of these principles into that, and you'll have a better building.
I'm really interested. I think that your program might be tomorrow, but the Passive House Network program about the California rebuilds.
Yeah.
That's
tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow, yeah.
I mean, what an awful situation to be in, that all these structures and homes disappeared. But it just makes my heart hurt to think of all of them being built just like they were built before. I mean, I hope it becomes a silver lining that they're built better this time. So I'm really interested to see that program about. Now, was it a competition, I think,
Yep.
that Passive House Network did?
Yeah, and that's what the Passive House Presents is tomorrow, and they're going to go through that whole competition and present a lot of the entries and the winners, and it'll be very interesting. And I think Parker, you probably had there was the big the name is escaping me, the big fires in Colorado, and what was the name of those again?
That was the Marshall Fire.
The Marshall Fire, yeah. And a lot of those houses were built back, at the very least, with Passive House principles. Am I correct?
Yeah, so the story with the Marshall Fire is that I believe there was one certified passive house in the town of Marshall, and it essentially where all the surrounding homes had smoke damage. This thing was buttoned up so tight with, you know, well-filtered air that the occupants were able to immediately go back into the home, whereas all of the houses in the neighborhood were like, even though they didn't burn down, they had so much smoke damage on the inside that they were unlivable. And because of that, they made quite a few healthy grants if you were going to rebuild your house and rebuild it as a passive house. So
There again, incentives and grants are helping.
yeah, they're like huge for us.
Spread the word. I'm interested. So I feel like sort of we're very fortunate in this area, in Massachusetts is doing a killer job with incentives and codes. And I feel like Colorado's a pretty good passive house pocket. And California, I mean, what are your experiences with that? Do you feel like the word is spreading? I mean, Brian, you just said you're surprised when some people haven't heard of it.
Well, I'm mostly surprised that New York doesn't have an incentive right now. I was talking to Parker about that today, that NYSERDA has, their incentive has run out, and we're surrounded by states that have incentives, literally surrounded. And it's unfortunate, and hopefully it'll come back. I think, I think it's helpful when governmental agencies help put the snowball together, and we get it to the top of the hill, and then it's up to us to push it. But we do need help building the snowball, the proverbial snowball. Like and as you see with other, sustainable energy and wind and solar, like at the beginning, we need help. And we don't want to rely on that. That's not a sustainable idea, to overuse the word, to just to keep asking the government to help make these things. It's up to us, but it is important. I wish more states. Washington State is another one that's kind of mystifying to me, that doesn't have any incentives right now. California has some. It's not that great. Massachusetts, like as you mentioned, Sarah, is the leader for sure. I mean, and Colorado's amazing. Denver offers 100%.
What helps in Massachusetts is the multifamily mandate, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, the stretch code. Yeah.
I think California is like next in line to have something that resembles that, that will probably help us out a lot. But we're also constantly trying to expand the available incentives as well, whether it's to new regions of Colorado or uh, like working with energy companies like Excel out in California. We have those conversations, and we're trying to get more. So
Parker,
our incentives are through Energize Connecticut, which is a utility, sort of a mandated utility effort. There's two utility companies here, Eversource and Avangrid. And that's also how Massachusetts works. There's this called Mass Save, but coincidentally, the program is implemented by the same company. So they really are
Gotcha.
similar. And I think that we've gotten a lot of interest out of that. So are the incentives that you're seeing elsewhere driven by state, by the utilities, by some nonprofit organization who's a squeaky wheel?
I would say some nonprofit organization.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, like in California, there was 3C REN, which was like the Tri-County
sure.
Regional
I've heard
Energy
of that.
Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
And the fact that I've heard about it all the way out in Connecticut means they're
yeah, right.
doing a great job.
Now they ended theirs recently,
Okay.
but then even up here, we're working with a local they're called Aspen Core, and they essentially raise money from other projects where people are like they kind of have these energy regulations, but you can pay to not follow them. And so then that money goes to help
It's
other
like
energy
buying
projects. Yeah.
carbon offsets, right?
Carbon
Sort of
offset,
the,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then the Excel one is unique. However, the Excel one is it's more like sponsored by Excel, but the money actually comes from Michael's Energy, which I believe is like another small nonprofit kind of deal. So it's really those small energy nonprofits and sustainability initiatives that are driving the funding in most states.
Mhm.
And Sarah, you mentioned Mass Save and the Energize Connect. Is that ICF? Is that who funds
Yes.
that? Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
And yeah, the 3C REN and the PG&E in California have been great. I mean, the utility companies love us. If we were to all build passive, we would rely less on the grid, and they'd have more space for the Bitcoiners and the AI people without
Right.
building more infrastructure. I mean, that is really the
Yeah.
theory
Yeah.
of why they're incentivized to help us. You know, and I wish more utility companies would take part in that, because obviously we're not all going to be passive tomorrow, and they need that grid space tomorrow. But the
Yeah.
idea is future proofing, and so they love us. Uh, who else? The
Maine is also doing a great job. They have a great retrofit
Oh, yeah.
program.
Maine, for
Yeah.
not for education, for building, for the
Yes.
actual building
Yeah.
of the passive. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting back to your training, what do people, aside from the priceless knowledge, what else do people get with their program? I imagine that PHPP or access to PHPP for some time. Do you have reference books that what else do people get besides the education time?
Yeah, so with the overall cost of the training, you get the PHPP, like you just mentioned, which I think Parker mentioned as well. So the Passive House Planning Package, which is like an Excel plugin, and you get that for free, and it doesn't expire, so it's
Oh,
yours.
great.
It'll update automatically when an update comes out from PHI. That comes with a digital flip book as well, that like a manual, user manual, and we also offer a hard copy version of that for a pretty low cost as well. The exam is included in the price of the overall training. And Brian was kind of mentioning the perks of the membership. You get 1 free year of membership from Passive
Oh,
House
wow.
Network in
Okay.
the cost of the training as well.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I still like hard copy manuals because I gotta have my sticky notes and stuff sticking
Totally.
out the side so I can find stuff.
Yeah, and
So I
and
appreciate, I hate killing the trees, but they're
no,
pretty.
yeah, something that ends up happening is the exam is open book. So at the end of the course, you can have any materials you want. We provide a lot of materials, but everything has to be in hard copy. So any materials that you want
Oh,
to print,
okay.
because when you take the exam, it basically shuts down your computer so you can't have internet access.
Yeah.
You're just taking the exam. So people will end up kind of making their own textbook or flip book, or I've seen people have things taped all over the walls around them while they're taking the exam. So yeah, it's definitely a benefit to have resources that you can print out as well and write on. I always recommend print them out in the beginning of the course. You can make them your
Yes.
own, write on them as you're going through it.
Yeah.
So I also want to mention something else that's included in the course is we give some additional courses that are specifically on the PHPP, and they dive a bit deeper into like how to use that software most effectively, more than the CPHD course just kind of does a brief overview of it, mentions kind of where to put different units and how to use the formulas within the PHPP, but it doesn't dive too deep. So we give you those extra courses and we recommend doing them after the CPHD course, and you have access to them for a year, and we can always extend as well. But so that, once you pass the exam, you're certified, you're ready to go, you have the next step already available to you. It's something to kind of dive into and learn a bit more about.
Mhm. The PHPP was, I love a good Excel spreadsheet. And it's really remarkable. I mean, we've used it in my office as just a design tool.
Yeah.
Because it's really fun for data nerds to, I mean, just change the what is it, the shading heat gain coefficient on, some exposure, like the, Eastern windows. And it's dramatic. I mean, stuff like that you would never expect to make a big difference really does. And I think it also is a great budgeting tool because you can figure out, okay, well, do I want to put, 4 more inches of insulation on the walls, or do I want to change my glass? And I mean, it really is such a great resource and tool to help make, financial decisions also, and design decisions. And my first passive house was oriented in exactly the wrong way. The site was just, the buildable area was this like long, narrow, like north-south. I mean, it was just, yeah, the worst it could possibly be. But with the tool, we were able to figure out how to optimize the glazing and the overhangs, and I mean, all this stuff, and it made it work. And it's not, the sexiest software unless you really love Excel like I do, but it's a great, great tool. So, I mean, honestly, just the fact that, if you do the incentives together, like Brian said, I mean, you're paying $350, even if you just get PHPP out of it. I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you're not the one that's ending up using it in your office, or if you bring in a, consultant to your project that is the one doing the PHPP, it's really helpful to know what you're being presented with, even if you're not the one, actually using it every day. For you to be able to understand it or, play around with it, I think is very important. So it's definitely a nice aspect of the course that you're learning how to use it and what it can be used for and what you can be presented with from it.
And
Sarah, where is that house you spoke of?
yeah, it's in Stonington, Connecticut.
Okay.
So it's very close to Rhode Island.
And year built was when?
Maybe 8 years ago ish.
Okay.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
The before times. Yeah. And that was it was a great application for passive house. It is single family, but it was, retired couple that doesn't want they want low energy bills and high comfort.
And are they getting that? Are they getting that?
They are. Yes. And
Awesome.
they put a big solar array, um, which unfortunately now they just sent us a picture today, is about 2/3 covered in snow. So the pitch isn't quite enough to get it off. But yeah, they've been doing very well with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We learned a lot. I mean, of course, with every project, but about windows and doors and, certain companies that were better than others.
Mhm.
But what I really like about the Passive House community, which I feel is different than, say, the LEED community, which I'm not really part of a LEED community, but the Passive House community, everybody really, I feel like we're all in it together. And when we have one of the types of programming that Bill Green CT does is we do construction site visits. And whenever there's something different about Passive House visits, people are willing to share their secrets. Lessons learned is always a favorite topic.
Mhm.
I'm sure you guys run into that also. But everybody's just really interested to figure out how we can do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Parker's here.
Yep.
He's taken some of my potential customers, but I don't care.
Oh no.
I just want more
No,
Passive House.
no, I tell them all, well, our course is, I'm trying to take your old customers too, because our course is CE credits for the CPHD.
Nice. Yeah.
That's pretty much, yeah, but they're very different. And honestly, I really try on the design side, I tell people to take both. And when we have a CPHC or a CPHD come into our course, they walk away being like, this is a drastically different course with a very different purpose. And they're very complementary to each other, especially for that consultant that, wants to be extremely well versed. So,
I would like to take it. And what's the price? What's the retail off the shelf price?
so ours is for Brooklyn and Boston might be a hair different. Give me one sec here. Um, okay, Brooklyn and Boston are the same. So it's 2690, so 2690 for our course. And yeah.
And are the all in person and hybrid in person, are those the same price?
Yep, they're the exact
Uh-huh.
same price. And really the difference is it's, if you're learning style, if you're the type of person that does really well with online video content, then that's a great route for you. I personally really enjoyed the in-person aspect of it, just because I don't know, I feel like I'm behind a computer all day. So being in
Sure.
person was really nice. And benefits to our course is we have a textbook that we give out as well. And the textbook is a huge reference material because we've got a lot of the architectural details already mapped out for you. And it's like not only are the answers to the passive house test in there, but the answers to the passive house life test are in there too. So you could crack that open and literally just steal a footer detail or something. And so that's an amazing resource. We also provide lunch since we're in person. Um, and yeah, and then we've got some other networking perks and stuff too.
That's
How
very
long
cool.
is it per day?
It's a full 8 hour day. So it's actually maybe even a little longer. So we'll get you in there at 9 o'clock and we will take a full hour for lunch and then get you out by 5. And that'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. With Wednesday and Thursday being you're not actually sitting at your desk, but you're working on the module and working with those materials. And then Friday, we take the exam first thing in the morning and then get beers afterward.
Sounds fun. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Does Passive House Network ever offer in-person designer courses anymore?
No, we sometimes do, like if a company approaches us, or school construction authority in New York City a few times has asked for it. But we have found that, it's definitely, I mean, Brian was kind of saying, that's when you do the 5 days in a row.
Yeah,
You
that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of information coming at you.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a lot
so
of time away from
yeah, and we have
your
just
day
found that
job.
yeah, totally. And we have just found that the flexibility of, being able to do the modules on your own time. All of the live online sessions are optional to come to. Nothing's mandatory until the end. We have like a tech setup before the exam and then the exam itself. And that's like the feedback we get is people really like the pacing and the flexibility of it. So, we're definitely open to it if that is something that like a big firm, is super interested in. But kind of what we're doing now is that if we do have a bunch of people from one firm, we can just, we have cohorts happening all the time, right? Rising
Sure.
exam happens, registration opens for the next one. So we can just slot people in. There's no max amount of people that can be in a cohort. So.
Well, that's great. I really do appreciate it. The way you have it set up and spread over so many weeks makes it feel accessible. I mean, I I took it in person. I don't even remember. I feel like it may have been 3 days one week and 2 days the following week, but it was an overwhelming amount of information.
Yeah.
And it's all great, but and I was lucky that my boss also happened to be taking the course at the same time, so I didn't feel guilty about missing work because he was there too. But that pacing feels doable, and I think that's such a huge appeal to training through your company.
Yeah, and we also always, if you get to the exam time and you don't feel ready, I mean, a lot of times people will sign up for the course, right, like months before, and then all of a sudden they have a big project, or
Sure.
something's taking them away from being able to even do the 2 to 4 hours per week. You can always reschedule your exam, so then you're kind of aligned with the next cohort. You can come to the review sessions.
Oh, that's great.
Still have access to all the materials. So we really try to make it as flexible as possible. We're there to support them the whole way. Sometimes it'll take people a whole year instead of the 4 months to actually get to the exam, and it's totally fine. We can work around people's schedules as well.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate how you three people and also your companies are doing so much work to help make better buildings for our people on the planet. It's important work.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, that's why I get up in the morning. I will take this last couple of minutes to plug in the hopes that other people will see this,
Yes.
plug our conference,
Yes.
our Passive House conference that is
Absolutely.
on June 4th and 5th in New Haven, Connecticut, at the beautiful Marcel Brewers Armstrong Rubber Factory, the brutalist masterpiece that's been converted into the Hotel Marcel, which is a Hilton run hotel now, and registration will open the beginning of March. It's $385. If you're not a member of the Passive House, once again, the benefits of membership come to play. It's $275 with your membership.
Oh, great.
And that's for the 2 days. And then Hotel Marcel will be offering $185 rooms in their beautifully recently redone passive hotel. It's an Enerfit hotel. And that's Thursday night. You can get $185 plus tax rooms. There's only 20 sponsor tables. So if anybody is interested, they'll need to get on that as soon as possible. And there's only 280 seats available for the entire conference. So it would pay to to register early for these things. And all the information, including the information for submissions to present, is on our website, and the deadline for the submissions to present is February 13th.
Yeah, this Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Friday, yeah.
Yeah.
Friday, yeah, the 13th.
I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be there. Although it's a little hard. I'm about 45 minutes away from it. So I don't know if I can, justify getting to stay there, but maybe I will. It's a good excuse.
Stay in a passive hotel.
That's right.
My sister-in-law stayed there for work. She goes, I'm going to New Haven. She's in a totally different line of work. And she goes, I go, oh, you're staying there? You have no idea how cool it is. And she called me as soon as she got there, and she was like, wow.
That's great. It's neat. The 95 is, right there.
I've been looking at that thing for years. I've been staring at that thing for years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I learned some things here, which is great. And I will, as I said, I'll post the video. And if I'm feeling really ambitious and can carve out a little time, I might do a blog post too and just sort of highlight some of the things that we talked about.
Cool.
Great. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Of course. Great. And Becca, I guess I'll see you pretty soon.
Yeah. Looking
And I
forward to
had
it.
a quick
Yes.
question. What's the thing tomorrow that you guys spoke about?
Oh, go ahead, Becca.
But we have a PHN Presents, which is we have a monthly kind of session webinar.
Cool.
And this one will be on our California Rebuilds competition.
Cool. And can I find it on your website?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's free. It's free to register. It'll be cool. There'll be some really cool. There's really some really cool design submissions.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I'll try to make it tomorrow. So
Yeah, and if you do miss it, we do post the recording at some point as well. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
thank you, Sarah.
All right. Thanks all. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure to
Sarah.
meet
You
all
guys
of
have a great evening.
You too.
You too.
Take
Bye.
care now.